All right, art aficionados, ready to dive into something new. Today, we're tackling a topic that's shrouded in mystery, well, for some of us at least. We're going deep on the business side of art.
Yeah, and trust me, you don't have to be a seasoned collector or a gallery owner to get a ton out of this.
Exactly. Whether you're an artist trying to navigate this world, thinking about a career change, or just really curious about what goes on behind the scenes, you've come to the right place.
And we've got the perfect guide to help us on our journey today.
Oh, you know it. We're cracking open successful strategies to sell your art. And let me tell you, this isn't just some quick overview. This gets into the nitty-gritty, the behind-the-scenes, the stuff most people don't even think about.
And one of the things I love about this is that it doesn't beat around the bush. It dives right into the heart of what trips up a lot of artists, and that's the business side of things.
Makes sense. You can be the most talented painter, sculptor, you name it, but if you don't know how to market yourself, how to price your work, well,
You're kind of stuck. And that's where this whole idea of understanding the market comes in. Because it's not just about, slapping a price tag on your art. It's about understanding your worth.
it's like I can bake a mean chocolate chip cookie.
Right.
But knowing how much to charge for a dozen, that's a whole other ball game.
Exactly. And that's where things can get a little, well, let's say uncomfortable for some artists. It can feel almost icky putting a price on your passion.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Like, how do you put a price on those late-night studio sessions? The moments of pure creative flow, it's tough.
Absolutely. And the book dives into this, even highlighting an artist who really struggled with the concept of limited editions.
Really? What was their hang up?
I think for them, it felt counterintuitive. They saw it as limiting access to their art, which kind of makes sense when you think about it. But then they stumbled upon this idea, this whole psychology behind scarcity. So they decided to experiment. They released a series of prints, some open editions, others as these really limited runs.
Yeah. What happened? Did it work?
Let's just say the limited edition prints, even though they were priced higher, way higher than the open editions, sold out in no time.
No way.
Yeah, and get this, it actually boosted the value of their open edition prints too.
So, by playing a little hard to get, they actually created more demand. That's fascinating.
Totally. It's like this weird marketing magic trick, but it works. And the book stresses this point. Understanding your market value is key. It even suggests platforms like Artsy and ArtPrice to research how other artists are pricing their work.
It's like scoping out the competition, in a way. Not to be all cutthroat, but more like,
Hey, we're all in this together. Let's see what works.
exactly. So once you've got that price tag figured out, that's when the real fun begins, right? Getting your art in front of the people, getting those sales.
And in today's world, that means going digital.
The online art market now, that's a whole other beast. Okay, the online art market. It feels like every time I turn around, there's a new platform, a new trend, a new something. How do you even keep up?
It can be overwhelming, that's for sure. Successful strategies to sell your art breaks it all down into manageable steps. First things first, your website.
Right. Got to have the online home base.
Yeah.
But honestly, even thinking about building a website makes me sweat a little. All that coding and stuff, it's a bit intimidating.
Oh, I hear you. I used to feel the same way. But the good news is, it doesn't have to be that complicated. The book talks about these user-friendly platforms like Squarespace and Wix. They've made it so much easier, even for us less tech-savvy folks.
Okay, phew. Less sweat already. But I'm guessing just having a website isn't enough these days.
You're right. You got to get yourself out there into those online marketplaces. Think of them as like the virtual version of those big art fairs. Everyone's there showing off their best work. Our source dives into some of the big ones like Etsy.
Etsy, yeah. That's
yeah.
perfect for handmade stuff, right? Like
Yeah.
if you're doing jewelry, pottery, that kind of thing.
Exactly. It's got that crafty DIY vibe, which can be great if your art fits into that category. But then you've got places like Saatchi Art. It's more curated, a bit more on the prestigious side, you know?
Yeah. Saatchi, that's the big leagues. But I imagine each platform comes with its own set of rules, those pesky fees.
Absolutely. You've got to factor those in. The book does a good job of breaking down those commission structures. Saatchi Art, for example, while it can be great for exposure, they take a pretty hefty cut of your sales, like 35% commission on most things.
Wow, 35%, that's a big chunk.
It is. That's why it's so crucial to really understand the ins and outs of each platform. Like Etsy has a much lower commission rate, but
But you're competing with a lot more artists, right?
yeah, and not all of them are necessarily focused on fine art. You've got everything from hand-knitted tea koozies to, well, you get the picture.
Like choosing between a fancy art gallery and a bustling craft fair. Both can be great, but you've got to know what you're getting into.
Exactly. That's why the book stresses the importance of understanding your target audience. Who are you trying to reach with your art? Because once you know that, you can figure out where those people hang out online.
Makes sense. So we've got our pricing strategy down. We're building our online presence. But I have a feeling there's more to the art world than just pixels and algorithms,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
There's just something about seeing a piece of art in person. Like scrolling through images online is one thing, but actually standing in front of a painting, feeling that energy.
It's a whole different ballgame, right? Our source, Successful Strategies to Sell Your Art, totally agrees with you. It talks about how those in-person experiences, whether it's an art fair, an exhibition, even those little consignment shops, they offer something special.
It's like online, you're kind of just skimming the surface. But in person, you're immersed in it. The texture, the scale, the way the light hits the canvas.
Totally. It just hits different. And beyond that, there's the human connection. The book even shares this story about an artist who was killing it online, had a huge following, but their big break, it happened at a local art fair.
No way. Really? What happened?
They weren't even the most technically skilled artists there, but people were drawn to their passion, their energy. They connected with people on a personal level.
See, that's what it's all about. That human touch makes a world of difference. Okay, so say you're an artist wanting to dip their toes into the art fair scene. Any tips?
Oh, tons. The book has a whole section on this. It talks about the importance of presentation, like having a booth that really pops. Think of it as your own little mini gallery.
Okay, so no more leaning paintings against chairs and hoping for the best.
Definitely not. You want clear signage, good lighting, maybe even a cool backdrop that complements your style. And don't even get me started on business cards. Those are essential.
Right. You never know who's going to fall in love with your work.
Exactly. And speaking of falling in love, the book talks about this too, the importance of building relationships with collectors, like genuine relationships, not just transactional stuff.
It's about turning those one-time buyers into lifelong fans.
Right. Exactly. And that leads to another interesting point. The book encourages artists to think beyond just selling originals, like prints, merchandise, even licensing your work.
So we're talking limited edition prints, maybe some cool tote bags with your art on them. I'm into it.
There you go. It's about expanding your reach, making your art accessible in different ways. They even talk about print-on-demand services, which is pretty cool.
Print on demand. So like someone orders a t-shirt with your art on it and it gets printed and shipped directly to them.
Exactly. No need to deal with inventory or any of that hassle. And then there's licensing, which can be huge. Imagine seeing your art on book covers, album art, even fashion collaborations.
Okay, that's next level. But I imagine there's a lot to navigate there, legally speaking.
You're telling me. The book stresses the importance of contracts and protecting your intellectual property. Like, definitely talk to a lawyer who specializes in art law before diving into that world.
Noted. Lawyer on speed dial.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, we've covered so much ground here, from pricing to platforms, in-person events. It's a lot. But what does success even look like in the art world? Because it's not always about money or fame, right?
You hit the nail on the head. And the book acknowledges this. It really encourages artists to define success on their own terms.
Because for some, it might be making a living from their art. For others, it might be getting their work into a certain gallery or winning awards. And for some, it's just about the pure joy of creating, right?
Absolutely. And finding fulfillment in that creative journey. That's what it's all about.
Couldn't agree more. And on that note, I think we've reached the end. We've explored the ins and outs of the art market, tackled the business side of things, and hopefully inspired you to chase your own creative dreams.
And remember, the art world is constantly evolving, so be open to new possibilities and never be afraid to experiment.
Until next time, keep creating.